Yo, this the Notion Podcast. This your boy Dizzy D Spill with my co-host in the building,
Jelani Evans.
Farmer Poe.
How y'all doing today, fellas?
I'm maintaining. I can't complain.
I feel the same way. I feel it.
I'm doing great.
Good. So, just to jump right into it, dive right into it. This has been a minute. You know what I'm saying? We've had a hiatus for a minute. You know what I'm saying with the show. Mainly because of me, because I was making some adjustments, location changes and life changes and stuff like that. So, we're actually approaching 100 episodes for the Notion Podcast.
That's a lot.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm excited about that. But I definitely have a topic that I feel like people in our age group can relate to. And so I'm going to pose the question of, do you feel that the world we were raised for exists anymore? I mean, we were born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. Does that world exist, or is it non-existent? What's your take on that, fellas?
I don't think it exists anymore.
Okay. What about you, Poe?
In some ways, yeah, it does.
Okay. I feel that. And of course, we're going to dive into it. I feel this. I feel similar. I feel like it doesn't exist anymore, but I do feel like if we're going to get flashes of what exists, it really is going to correlate with people that relate to you directly as far as age. But to get into that, I wanted to ask you guys, we'll start with you, Jelani. Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like it's non-existent based off of what you've seen and how you was raised?
Morals, values, understanding how you interact. You feel me? Just like work ethics. There's a lot that just doesn't seem to exist the way that it does. There's a lower level of expectations if we're talking about all of those things.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of morals no longer exist. People are expecting you to go above and beyond and have this sense of entitlement, right? Mm-hmm. And then, as far as values, people value a lot of things that are shallow or material based.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like character doesn't speak as much as the way it used to or it should.
Uh-huh.
The work ethic is lacking. Like even like look at the NBA, they do load management, right? Back when we was growing up, unless you was injured for real, everybody played.
And it still wasn't called load management.
Everybody played.
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
Kobe played with injuries. And that's just, I say Kobe because he's one of the standout individuals, but on the same breath, that's what made him great. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Broken fingers, you know what I'm saying? Like, didn't he shoot free throws with like a torn Achilles or something?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just because of operating a certain way, because of the way that you were raised. And, you know what I'm saying? Even if you have a weakness, that's not necessarily an excuse. Now people lean on excuses and, deem their weaknesses as reasons not to be able to do things. You feel what I'm saying? So it's just like a lot of that is just shifted because we were raised by people who came up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Baby boomers, right.
And the way that they were raised, they implemented a lot of that in the way that they raised us, right? So a lot of the things as far as hard working, don't expect anything from anybody, you know what I'm saying? Get your own, how you operate and how you deal with people matters and it counts. Like all of those things, like they're respected for, they're, how can I put it? They're acknowledged between people our age and up.
Right.
But when you start talking about like 25 and under, it ain't the same.
Yeah.
So I don't think it really exists anymore.
So Paul, you got a different take on it. You feel that, there's more of that essence still there. What's your take on it?
Yeah. There's just a change in which maybe the way the world is now for those who are growing up now. But for those of us who have those values and were raised a certain way, it still is beneficial.
Okay.
So in some ways, keeping those values or keeping those lessons that were taught can be a benefit for you in the world today, because those of us who are hardworking, who are able to exceed farther than those who may not have those like values or the ability to change. Because we grew up in a world that was slowly turning into this world that was built on the internet.
Okay.
And so going through that transition, we was able to adapt.
Okay.
So for those who may grow up in this world now, may not have the ability to adapt. Having that ability to adapt, I think, is an extremely big benefit. So that's the thing that I think is the transition for those values that you may have had, the lessons that you were taught, the things that you may have experienced prior to this change. You take that and adapt it to this, you can go farther.
Haven't you experienced people our age not even appreciating or acknowledging that type of stuff though? I see it's almost like not everybody, but there's like a small percentage that seems to have adapted to the new ways, like they lost their morals and values though. And not
There
everybody.
are, I mean,
and I mean, in this, that
did
I
they
just
lose
say
their
that.
morals and values?
I
Or
just
were
say
they-
that because it stands out. Well, I mean, like, you know,
Were they just raised with us and they just didn't have those morals and values to begin with?
I mean, I would like to think, I would hope that they did. You know what I'm saying? I would like to
Those are
hope.
both good points.
But it's just like, because, you know, you see somebody that's like your age or older doing some stuff that these youngsters out here doing. You be like, bro, you should know better. You didn't. And then if you know them personally, you be like, I know you didn't grow up that way. I know your mother. I know your father. And look at you now.
It's just tempting.
Yeah.
And it's an easy,
Well-
I mean, you are being trained and it's like a game that you playing. So you sitting there swiping and the game is like a casino. It's like, oh, you're waiting for the next fun thing. So it's like an easy trap for any human being who just might not have the strength.
Yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to strengthen it up. I mean, because I mean, like, bro, that's kind of wild when you think about it. Because I feel like majority of people in our age bracket from our generation, they have a certain level of understanding, right? A certain level where their morals and values are. For the most part. Now, you know, I never really took into fact like maybe they just didn't have any. That thought hasn't never really occurred to me. So I mean, that is a different point of view. But sheesh, I mean, damn. Then I mean, you can't do nothing but pray for them and wish them the best because at that point, if you is you know, it's like if you don't know, you don't know, and then you don't know what you don't know for you to be able to change it or make adjustments, right? And then with the way things are consistently changing. Some would say evolving. I don't like to use that word because I feel like evolving is certain things just changes. It means it's not what it used to be. And so with so much changing and certain things evolving, if you already don't know, you can only adapt to what you do know and how things change and adjust to such, right? So I get it. I feel that point.
I would go to leaning more towards we were prepared for a world that's more non-existent. More because we were raised by the boomers. We're actually millennials, but I even split millennials in half. You know what I'm saying? Because of the type of things we were taught. But I will say that one of the reason why I see it that way is because going through school, we were taught you go to school, you get an education, you get a degree, you go get a decent job, and you should live comfortably. You know what I'm saying? Because you took those steps.
You went
right?
through the process.
But what has seemed to happen is here we are, still pretty youthful, but that's not enough anymore. A lot of our generation is going back to school to get another degree. They're getting in deeper debt. The cost of living is crazy. And then you got to think the things that we've witnessed in our youth, in our I would say damn near prime years, and we're still, in our 30s, from wars to even things our parents haven't seen before, like the world being shut down for a year. And and then even though social media is to me, social media is a magnifying glass of the news. The only difference is you're probably going to get more facts from social media than the news because the news really regurgitates the same thing verbatim, right? But when I see that stuff, when I see my peers talking about how much for a house and, all of these different things that I'm not going to say our parents didn't go through, but they understood what to do about it. And then you have time periods like now where these kids today probably don't know how to fill out a check. I'm talking about, when I say kids, I'm even talking about people in their 20s. They probably don't write checks. Probably weren't taught how to fill out checks. Nobody writes in cursive anymore. One of the other things is even the way you apply for a job. We used to actually fill out job applications, and then there was little things we could do to critique or not really critique, but kind of get ahead. Like, all right, I'm gonna throw a cover letter on it. I'm gonna ask to speak to the manager, hand it to the manager. Little tricks that I've used in my youth. Everything is online, so now you're just a number,
That's
and
crazy.
hopefully they pull your number if you apply for a job. So, I mean,
Your
even the
resume.
concept of
Got it. Keywords.
yeah, keywords.
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
Or even our parents told us, you know, you can't sit around and play video games all day long, right? You know, you got to get up and do something with your life. There's millionaires playing video games for a living.
I'm finna get a Twitch account. I'm looking at PC.
But see, look, I see it like this. I think it's like a few different type of people who we might be speaking about. So you got people who were during the like 80s and 90s when computers and these the internet became like popular for those who were in that arena.
Yeah.
A lot of people shunned it. A lot of people didn't.
Yeah, you're right.
Didn't want to.
Detractors. Yeah.
Yeah, there were people who shunned away from it. They didn't get those skills. They lost.
Yeah.
Then you have
we
people,
gotta help them now.
Then you have the people who from our generation who might not have been able to adapt to this new generation because they're holding on to those values and they're still not wanting to adapt to the new wave also. And then you have people who are growing up in this generation who understand like the value and how to use like social media, internet, whatever, to their advantage. We're talking about those people. And then, I mean, there's several different types of people.
I'm about to say, because, like, all right, so you said something about how it transitioned from filling out an application to doing it online, right?
Yeah.
I remember how initially it started to go online, but you had to fill it out at the place of business.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
for sure.
and then you said something about how we grew up, you know, kind of getting introduced to the internet, and you said the early end of millennials. Well, so we were kind of privileged to be raised in the old ways and be introduced to the beginning of the new ways in that whole wave all in the same breath. There were certain people who were not privileged enough to own a PC or a computer, or you know what I'm saying, because when that first came out they were expensive, so it wasn't so much
TVs and VCRs.
Right. Right. So I mean, in some cases people weren't detractors, they were just broke. You know what I'm saying? They disadvantage. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, you feel me, they got to the party late.
Yeah.
And you know, getting to the party late, you miss out on, you know,
everything,
all the snacks, and you know the event. You at the end of it, you play this song, it already happened. You late.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's also that, and so I mean, I get it, because there are people who are our age who really don't know how to maneuver the internet the way that me, you, or you would. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have that privilege. Yeah. Because it was definitely a privilege back then. Yeah. And then you do have those who grew up in this age who only know about online instant access, instant gratification, getting things now, and have no idea or understanding of how to actually have to work. And that delayed gratification, it comes later. You have to work for it. You'll see it when the work is done. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, but man, it's so different.
Yeah. And it's some things that just don't matter no more anyway. Because like you said, when you said that they don't know how to write like a check, ain't nobody writing checks no more.
Nah, that people are still writing checks.
But that's what I
but
mean.
not to that extent.
Yeah, like, people used to do that at the register.
That's a
when
skill
we was
that's not
growing up.
required anymore.
Yeah.
I get the filling out an application for like maybe lower level positions or entry level positions sometimes.
Bro, even the questions they ask on applications now are like...
I think application is fucking easy as fuck to do now, because I can tell you what, I always put my first name where they said put your last name. It was like I was doing it too fast. It was like... And then there's something you fucking up.
I used to put my whole name. They say your name. I put my whole name. They put last name. I'd be like, well, damn it, why didn't you?
Fucking up.
I need a white out.
Now I gotta go get it. You feel me? Now I can go...
Especially for paintbrush,
especially for where I work, like you filling out a job for any application, your application is already like you got one in the system. You can just enter.
It's complete. You fill it out one time, and you just have to update it. Exactly. You know, ever so often.
I feel like the reason why I brought those points up though is because I do appreciate a lot of the perks that we have, right? I just think that the pressure of a young person, the pressure of what instructors was telling us in school, the pressure of even what our parents, and I know that pressure came from worry, right? Making sure that we'd be successful. It's like that stuff doesn't even exist to worry about anymore. Right. Versus like the kids now, they are learning on today's technology. It seems like I'm not going to say the curriculum and the teachers are necessarily better, but there's some people in the education system, even though it needs improvement, that are making a little bit better decisions where they're trying to really prepare them for something that's going to be here a while versus how we were prepared for things that are non-existent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Man. You know what I mean? So when I look at that stuff, of course, being older, I'm a little salty. Yeah, I'm mad that these kids can all play video games in their own house because we dreamed about that. You know what I mean? But I will say that I do wish that they did get some of our experiences because the values that came out of them, you know, of course, certain things were unhealthy. You know, we drunk out of the water hose.
I'm about to say,
you know what I mean?
We went through created tough skin.
Yeah, it created, you know, this. You're right, this tough skin that allowed us to keep pushing and keep breaking things down and not, you know, be easily triggered all the time.
Facts, because the thought of internet bullying is beyond me.
Yes.
You just turn the power off, log off, close the window. Like,
yeah, we didn't get to turn that off at school. It was
they don't
you
know
would get roasted.
There's no turning it off because that is part of their world. So it's like almost like they don't. You turn it off. Like that's like
read a book.
Fake committing.
Like Kindle's dead. Like.
It's over. My son, he goes, man, look, I had to talk with my son. I took all his devices and everything. He got his restrictions and all that. He goes to sleep. I'm like, why are you sleep? Well, I can't go outside. I said, so he's just going to sleep? Like,
basically, he just deleted the rest of the day.
Wake me up when I'm on punishment.
What's that show when they go downstairs and then it's on it's a new sci-fi show, man, where they go into the building, they go downstairs for work, and they
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know the title of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Shout out to that show.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's what he did. I'm like, why are you going to bed?
You unplugged me, so I'm gonna recharge.
I have nothing to do. I'm like, all right, man.
I did know it was bad for that for the younger generations behind us when one of my nephews was same thing. He was getting everything, you know, basically repoed, right? Mm-hmm. But he was getting burners from the homies at school. You know what I'm saying? And he would just take long bathroom sessions. So, you know, he can get on the phone, do his thing. You know what I'm saying?
They in the bathroom, my nigga, jacking off, man. That's what the fuck them niggas in there doing, man. And on the phone, taking the long ass shit.
Boy,
that's what they doing,
took a turn.
These little niggas got the whole hookup with the, you know what I mean? Because you can't if you in the bathroom, that's your privacy, right? Mm-hmm. So I keep wondering, like, my nigga, why you keep taking shit? Like, you taking a shit like every 2 minutes for every day, like for 30 minutes.
Them organic fruits you making and stuff is running through.
Man.
That's, you know what I'm saying?
Check that nigga Pornhub history, man.
There's a history?
Yeah, make sure he's not watching some other shit.
Is this
what you got to make sure he got like?
It's not my lane. I don't.
You just prove that the world is a non-existent.
You had to.
We had magazines.
Tell them what we had to do to find that.
We first of all, there was magazines.
There was magazines.
Then, you know,
VCR tapes.
For the friends that did have a computer, they got caught because of the search history.
Nah, you had to rewind that tape back to the same spot your pops was watching because
you know who was a pro at that? This guy over here. He got all the tricks of the trade.
Look, he gonna even ask your mama what the fuck is going on
from now on. All right, we just fist bumps with you.
I grew up in America, my nigga. I grew up in America, my nigga.
Nah, I feel it, but it's just like, that's wild. Like, that's crazy. Back in the day, boy, you watch something like that on a regular piece, man, you gonna have all the bugs and spyware.
Backdoors, cookies.
Bruh.
Man, bruh.
That's wild.
They got all the access.
They have access to everything.
And that, you know, that's part of the problem. They have too much
information.
Too much access, too much information.
And they ain't got to work for shit.
Yeah,
They ain't gotta work for nothing. How you
that.
getting all this shit? And you don't know what you have.
You ain't to put in no time.
That's why I don't, man. Look, I don't have kids, so it don't matter. But if I did, they would, man. Look, you wear them shoes till the wheels fall off, because I paid for them. You ain't like, and so look, because I be cleaning kids' shoes for their parents. They, because the parents spending this money, so they bring the kids' shoes in, and they be whooped. And I be like, dang, why they? Because they don't pay for them. They don't pay for them, so they don't care. They don't have to say. Remember when you had a summer job? And you bought your first pair of shoes, bruh, and how much you baby them, right?
We had outside shoes, man.
They got cleaned every time I took them off.
You got to buy these, and they shoes cost the same as yours now. They cost the same as yours.
I've heard that.
You think a little kid's shoe is gonna be like in the kid's shoes? It's only like maybe a $30 difference.
You need to be buying them light ups.
Hey, listen.
We had to work our way up.
You remember LA Gears,
Yes,
LA
I
Lights
do.
and stuff?
Sure.
Yeah, bro.
Come on, man.
You step up on the campus.
Y'all remember
brand new pair?
Copeland's?
See me.
Y'all remember Copeland's?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
What?
LA Gears.
Get you a couple pair.
British Knights.
the
AKA
BKs. Yeah.
But we do sound like our grandparents and our parents who was talking about, I had to walk to school without no shoes.
No. Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you why we sound a little bit. I'm gonna tell you why we sound.
I carried a bucket with my biscuits and honey. Like, whatever, bro. Stop lying.
He was making biscuits.
That's what you had for lunch? Biscuits and honey? Biscuits and gravy? Okay, just say you was in poverty.
Come on, man. Your school system.
Your parents made it sound like they was really pioneers, man.
That was the church you was going to. That wasn't school.
Right. I think our experience is different is because we were at the beginning stages of all of the things that they're using now. Yeah. So we can say, you don't even understand what you're dealing with. It's just to say, it's even with music.
Because they think you stupid, though.
Yeah, they think you stupid. They don't understand. We were the first ones doing this.
Because our parents wasn't hip. We was the ones, like, we still use the devices. Like,
we still got the juice.
You seen them videos where they, like, have an old kid use a house phone or a rotary phone?
It's hilarious.
I seen one where the kids were like extremely amazed, like this is a phone.
They was laughing like
it works.
They thought they was playing walkie-talkies.
Oh, I can call you? I can call you? Give me your number. What's your number? Because I couldn't remember because they just scroll through and right. So she dialed it and it rung. She said, hello? Oh my gosh, it works. Like, yeah, it's a phone. Bruh, I seen somebody describe a house phone. They were like, so is there like a phone that is in the house that everybody use that just stays at the house? And a house phone?
Yeah.
A house phone?
Yeah.
Because you can't be talking about a cellular phone for the house. You mean a house phone? Like you plug it into the wall. There's a line. You can only go so far with it. Like
exactly.
They don't know about your mama being able to click in from the other phone that's in the house.
Like, yeah, girl, so what you finna get into? Boy, get off the phone. I got calls to make.
You trying to be the freshest of the fresh, and mom's.
Thank you.
And mom shut all that down.
So you gonna get off the phone?
Like, you try to sneak on the internet.
Hit you back.
Try to sneak on the internet in the 90s.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock.
You hear that AOL. Boy, take your ass a bit. I'm doing homework. I'm running away.
Bruh, I'm telling you.
You ain't get homework in 3 weeks.
But you want to do it at midnight.
I used to kick my brother off the phone. It's my turn.
No, they so.
I got shorties to call.
I don't know what's going on with these kids nowadays, but they're learning, or logic is one thing that they don't have. I took the devices. I said, like, I gave him a couple of like warnings. He in there listening to music. I come in, I said, "What's up, dude?" I'm listening to music. I said, "That's a device." Oh, I'm sorry.
Dog, we come from a time where it would kill us that we had to stay in the house.
Facts.
Like,
you want to know what
take
else?
everything, just let me go outside.
You know what else would kill us? A lack of logic.
Yeah.
Getting smacked upside the head and stuff thrown at you. Because if you didn't have that sense of knowledge, they took it as disrespect.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Your failure to communicate is disrespect to the boomer generation. And I think, and I do think that the younger generation, if they had that logic,
they'd be dangerous.
They'd be dangerous. They would be dangerous because they are really innovative and really creative. I do feel bad when they think they created something that's been around when we were children. Right. But if they had that logic mixed in with the abilities and the resources that they have, man, it'll be crazy.
This female got on TikTok said, "I created a flat taco." It's like, did you mean a tostada? Hispanics been doing that for age. Like,
And
what?
they don't do no like
Research at all. That they're lacking research, bro. Like, nah, that doesn't happen.
Thank you.
That doesn't happen.
They don't go and
which
dig
is
and
crazy,
do nothing.
They have many
no
computers
appreciation for
with these
research.
phones,
That's
bro.
crazy.
I think that's what kills me about that is that
You have
they don't do no
all this
research and they
access.
have access to everything at the palm of their hands 24/7.
Bro, I had
Because
somebody
they don't
ask me
even.
something. I'm
because
like,
they
just,
don't use
just
it as
Google
a tool. They don't utilize it as
Nah.
a tool. They utilize it as entertainment.
Yeah.
It's
and
a tool.
we had to learn initially how to use it as a tool because there was a lack of entertainment for internet.
Or we had
Yeah.
to go do the research project.
Bro, you remember
had to
how
go to a computer
Minesweeper
lab.
was the game and it was popping on the internet? Like, that was
What?
kind of
They
the
don't know
only
about Oregon Trail.
What? Well, I
Age of
remember.
Empires.
I remember you needed a disc to play that one, and you had
Man,
to.
the floppy, the 8-inch, the 8-inch. I'm
That
pause.
you see how I pushed it in because you don't put
Just
you
in
don't
case
push
somebody
in,
else listening, I don't want no
you don't
confusion,
you don't be
know what I mean?
pushing the CDs. You push in the floppy disk. You have to.
Bruh.
Man, remember you used to play with
Bruh.
the one thing like it was a,
No.
The metal part?
trying to explain it without other people getting offended.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way you did that though, no, I don't. No. It's-
Remember what was those you had to do your homework on those joints like or save like you can save like one document to it.
Yeah, disc.
But which one was it? You know, you had the A to B to C.
Yeah.
I just
That
remember
was floppy
C
A.
disc.
Yeah.
Floppy A.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Floppy A.
The whole thing is that was ingenuitive. That was crazy for it. That was like top tier. Now you talk to a kid about that, they're like, "What? So dinosaur things?" Like, 'cause it's
And that's the
ancient.
thing. I think that I think that's what gets underestimated
Saves
about our
automatically.
generation is they think that because we still value older ways and older values that's where we stay at. We just understand the appreciation to have for then and now because we've seen the process. You know, and for me, as a person that does music, that's what one of my pet peeves is. Like when I would see some of the younger artists, I think it was Uzi Vert when old man Ebro was interviewing him. He's like, if you put on one of those old beats, I'm not rapping on that. I'm a rock star. And for me, the way I took it, I was like, this dude is uneducated on the history because you're already getting defensive. And who knows, he's probably grown since then because he was very young. But when you start looking at why we still respect a Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying? It's okay to respect a LeBron, or why we respected a Joe Montana for so long. You get what I'm saying? And just in all different facets, there's an appreciation for the people that came before, not because they were there first. It's because they were great when they were there. Because there's a lot of people that came first that nobody talks
a
about.
lot of trailblazers.
Yeah,
you know.
I saw that, and at first I had a certain opinion about it, like most who kind of felt like, "Oh, you crazy, disrespecting the Preem and the OGs and all that." But then I kind of got into the thinking like we do kind of like force that upon them in a way to where it's it's just not there. Like if they don't vibe with it, they don't vibe with it. But we also come from the age of us rapping over old school beats prior to the generation that we were currently living in. And so we kind of took that at like that same
Nah, I don't want to hear that. Put on the Sugar Hill beat. He finna rap.
we did that like we would nobody would have ever said like, "Nah, I'm not gonna rap over that type of beat." Before,
we, in
or
a
whatever.
sense, we had to because that, like, so you know, think about it. Where you hear certain songs you like or specific beats, there's that level of familiarity, right?
Yeah.
So then to rap over a dope beat or a popular beat for its time, that would actually make people tune in and see how you executed on it or where your skill level was at. Right?
Yeah.
So it would be like if you did that and you actually executed, like, okay, he did nice. I'm glad I actually took. But if you didn't, then it's like, yeah, he's trash. And so there was that connection between the song you're familiar with and you rapping over the beat and them kind of.
But then he's offering it to he's forcing that beat on a dude like Uzi, who we already know he ain't even that type of rapper.
And then you know what
so
else
it's
he
like,
said?
why you present that to him when you know he ain't finna? Why that's like putting a plate of vegetables in front of somebody who ain't finna just eat the vegetables. You know, he
And
don't eat
it's kind of
vegetables.
interesting because he was like, I said that because my fans don't care to hear that. That's not what my fans want to hear. That's not what they're into. And I'm like, all right, I feel it. So then you took it as him doing that, and you rapping over that beat would be to appease him or his listeners. And if you don't really care to appease him or his listeners, and no,
I think the
why
disconnection.
you want to show
I
them?
think the disconnection with all of that when it comes to music is the fact that you understood the value of a certain time period, right? So when you look at all of the cats that was out in the 90s, we were children, right? They were showing respect and paying homage to what their parents was listening to by flipping the beat and remixing it and rapping on it. You know what I'm saying?
They also opened them doors and paved the way. So
Yeah.
it's paying homage.
And
It's a sign of
so
respect.
and so I totally understand a lot of younger people saying, yo, I wasn't even alive when Biggie and Pac were gone, right? But I also understand the point that we made earlier about research. Because even me, I still to this day research certain things about hip hop that I didn't know or that I didn't understand, and it was like, wow, like this is what they went through. It's history class. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's history class, and I think that if you are going to be a rock star, you're going to be big time. You're going to consider you want a certain level of respect, and you want that longevity on your name. It's your responsibility to understand the history. And then
Facts.
but I also think you have the right to deal with that history the way it affects you. But to completely disregard it, I think is
about to say.
irresponsible as an artist in any art form.
And
In
a lot
any
of
art
people
form.
will not acknowledge it. They,
Yeah.
they lack that responsibility.
Let me ask this: what part of history should he? What if he's knowledgeable about a lot of hip hop history prior to him and the people that inspired him? So let's take, for instance, the individuals like Wayne, Kanye, Kid Cudi, Future, all these different individuals who may
Who would
have
be
been-
their big? Who would be the OGs to
that
them?
might have been his history.
Now this is my pushback with it. When I look at the Kanye's and I look at the Lil Wayne's, Lil Wayne looks the way he looks because Tupac looked like that. That came out of his mouth. He said, "I got tattoos because I want to be like Tupac." Kanye West said in his song, "My big brother was Big's brother." You know what I'm saying? So what a lot of those artists from that time period did is they paid tribute, but they left breadcrumbs. Even Jay-Z was influenced by Jazz O. You know, that's in his name. Nas was very, very influenced by Cool G Rap, so much that they sounded very, very similar when they've done records together. So the point is there's always been that mirror of where they got a lot of their inspiration from, and the people that were inspired by them was aware of that. Michael Jackson, James Brown. You know what I'm saying? So having that knowledge doesn't mean that you have to mirror where you got the knowledge from, but it should show in your work and your work ethic that you're a branch off of a certain tree, rather than trying to fight so hard for an individuality when you don't even have to fight for it. You're already your own individual. You already sound like you and look like you. Even with today's content right now, the way these kids look with the hair, the tattoos, that's all Lil Wayne. That's all Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? But how many of them know, well, where did he get his inspiration? What made him be this and made him be that, and what made him even evolve as an artist?
I'll tell you, this is a difference for me. Well, I think why we held on to that value and why that value was created. We had to go look and look for and find music, right?
Yeah.
For many different generations, we had to go either into Sam Goody's, FYE, whatever store it was that was available for us to go and find the new music to sample and listen to. And then it became the time where we had to go and search different hip hop blogs online and different other mediums like BearShare and Kazaa to find our music. And so it built this kind of sense in us to go and dig and find and look for music. And through that journey, you also learn a history, because if you're paying attention to credits, if you're looking at album covers, if you're looking at artwork, if you're looking at track listing, whatever it is that inspired you or motivated you to keep
Yeah,
looking
you
for
wanted to
music,
know, like, who
it wasn't
did
just
this?
the new music. It was like, okay, I'm gonna look for. I wouldn't found new music by looking at the artwork. So if I saw that your artwork was dope and it hit me, I was like, okay, they valued the artwork, then they valued the music, and I usually was right. So that was the way I was digging for music and just looking for artists.
Yeah.
And so I don't think these kids have to do that no more, so much so that the whatever music they want to get, they just go straight to the YouTube, or they go to the Instagram page, or they go to wherever the music is at, and they listen. And
So
they ain't gotta
two
do that.
things with Uzi, I've seen him mention and pay tribute to actual rock stars, because he said he was a rock star, right? So like Marilyn Manson and some other individuals like that, he said that's where he's pulled inspiration from,
Okay.
right? So I have seen that, but as far as like relating, and I mean, if you've ever listened to Uzi, it's like a mashup of rap and rock.
Yeah, it is. It
You
is.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there's that, and then it's crazy because it's like I feel like there are artists who do care and do sample and pay attention to those type of things. I feel it's more other consumers who don't care. Because
Or
there's a
the
song,
people who care.
100%. Because there's a song by Drake on one of his albums, I think it's Take Care, where he sampled something from John B. And I recognize it right away because that's one of my favorite songs by John B. off of
John B was that guy.
bro. So off of one of his last albums. So instantly I made the connection. And then somebody's like, I love this song. I was like, you know where you got the sample from? Sample. So I played the original. It's like, and I'm like, yeah. See, a lot of these top tier artists are very knowledgeable about music and those who came before them, just the same way a lot of top tier athletes
Yeah.
are savants of the game and have a different understanding.
Yeah.
So they might not always just outright pay homage, but if you yourself are familiar, then you can connect the dots, like you said, leaving breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, again, everybody doesn't do that because a lot of people want to seem like innovators and the first ones to do it, and they want to be the trailblazer.
And I think that's what my biggest
disregard.
and that's my biggest gripe about any art form. I know we're talking about
100%.
music, but any art form, that's my
All of
biggest
them,
gripe.
everything is, I mean, across the board, because it happens in a lot of different genres and different lanes, not just with music. You know what I mean? So it makes a lot of sense. But I mean, again, like you said, that's maybe something that but I say it like this, maybe because we're artists, maybe because we did that and we have a certain understanding, it strikes a chord with us versus somebody who is just a consumer. You see what I'm saying? Like, as a consumer, you're like, bro, I just want to listen to the music. I don't care who he sampled, where it came from, in the background behind it. It's slap. Like, all right, I understand that. But for me, it matters because I like to know. I like to be aware. There's a certain level of knowledge I like to have behind the music that I'm listening to.
Right.
Or the sport that I'm watching. Or the craft that I'm taking part in.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so it hits differently for you depending on where you are on that scale, I guess. And then, of course, because we are from an older generation where you paid homage, you paid respect to, and you had a certain level of acknowledgement for those who came before you, right?
Yeah.
So it hits harder and it hits different for us as opposed to a generation who only grew up a certain way, and a lot of stuff that we are aware of and we know they've never been introduced to. Like I said earlier, if you don't know, you don't know. And in a lot of cases, we get frustrated because they don't know, because they have access to all this knowledge. But if you don't know, then you're not going to go researching and looking for stuff that you aren't aware of.
Right. And I think that, like I said, I think that was the biggest trigger for me, where it's like
Little bastards.
the whole concept of like, you know, you're the innovator. And it's like, nah, there was people before you that was doing this and doing that. But here's the crazy part. I've actually seen what it looks like, just a little bit of like when you bridge the gap. I've heard, I think it was Uzi Vert, if I'm not mistaken, on a Ninth Wonder beat. And it sounded great. Not because you were on a Ninth Wonder beat, but it's your style, you know, with something that's foreign to what you've presented and put out there.
I love that type of shit.
And I'm like, yo, that, and
Like
those
Sauce
sometimes
Walker was on just knowledge. The producer did some shit with Black Youngster. sounded so fucking raw.
Right.
And like, what
And
about
stuff like that ends up being timeless.
like it was 21 Savage who made a comment about Nas, and then they did a song together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So then it was like, okay, everybody that's familiar with 21 Savage who might not really know who Nas is, now you've made the connection. Now you guys have brought it to,
Right.
now they're becoming aware, and they might go search his catalog just versus those who really mess with Nas and don't care about these new rappers might actually be paying attention to 21 Savage now.
Right.
So, you know, when you can bridge the gap, when you can come together and make the connection and everything, it's a great look, but it doesn't happen that often because people want to be
Right. And
And
it's
these-
I mean,
my
people
bad.
want to be set apart. I guess you could say they don't want to be connected to the old or have, you know. I don't know.
yeah. I think it's
Can't
I think
speak
it's I think it's an unnecessary insecurity to when people do that, because there are some great things. Even if you never do any music with them, you're still going to get a whole dose of game from somebody that's done it. Like, look, man, if I was in your shoes, I would have never done what I did. Like, you can do it like this. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, a lot of these kids is really just listening to music growing up, and like they're not even trying to make music. They just doing it, and they get hot. So then they get hot.
Now the pressure's on. Like, oh man, I got to
They
stay.
got a little recipe or whatever.
Yeah.
They figured out. They keep repeating it, and you know, what I mean, you can make the same song over 1,000 times with the way the listeners listen to music now,
Yeah.
and be successful some
Yeah.
way. So they don't really have to do very much in terms of like honing their skill.
Yeah, sharpening
Long.
their iron, and yeah. You're absolutely right about that. And sometimes all it takes is just one opportunity, and then they can just kind of ride that wave, and then they end up getting connected to maybe endorsements or some kind of show or something like that. And so,
That's kind of the wave right now.
yeah, and that's where kind of the art can kind of get lost. And I wouldn't necessarily blame the artist for that. I would probably blame, industry people that are spearheading it. A&Rs, labels, producers. They have responsibilities too. You know what I
but
mean?
they're only focused on the money aspect
Yeah,
and the profit
yeah.
aspect. So it's like, it's not so much about grooming an artist as in the song blew up. Well, we can do this and we can do that and we can latch onto this and we can see more dollars instead of, if we actually groom this artist and go about it X, Y, and Z, then we can have long term.
Yeah.
Because how many
Less
have these
work.
like one hit wonders and, you know what I'm saying, people who come and go real fast because they weren't groomed. There were certain things that weren't invested in them as opposed to artists back in the day.
Yeah, and it's like that, like all across the board, bro.
Yeah,
Oh, 100%.
less work, but they could just keep repeating that, and they get more
Rinse and
money.
repeat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That quick process.
And then it's their fault when it gets sold to you, the consumer.
We're only in year 12. We're only in year 12 of rinse and repeat. You don't like it?
That's the ill part about it. It's your fault that
crazy.
you're doing what you said. Hey, man, this is what we want from you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. That's insane.
You're outdated.
That's
I don't want to
insane.
hear that. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's crazy. But like all in all, though, I do think that we do reap the benefits. I think like us three, we're at an amazing age to be able to get access to certain things. I have to check my patience at times when I'm dealing with my mom or somebody like that to show me how to do the this or the that. You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't say we were born in it, but we were there right before it. So we were able to pick up game. And now that the boomers, they're in a position where they're forced into it. So I always got to try to remember that, like when I'm getting a question or I want to know something. But then we're in a very interesting position because we're teaching was second nature to us because we understand it so well. But then we also might have an opinion at times with those that were born in it, where it's like you have no idea what you're doing.
It's crazy because you say that and I'm sitting here, I'm thinking like, well, the generation before us, they raised us, but they were already set in their ways, and their ways was before the internet created
first world problems.
So while they were set in their ways, they were also focused on maintaining and making sure that things were set up straight for not only them, but for us.
Yeah.
Whereas where we came into play, we had the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Right? So it's like you have the baby boomers who were before that wave, us who came into right before the way, so we were introduced to it after having an understanding of the old ways, and then you have those who came about with the new ways who were not around for the old ways or the introduction, so they think how things are now is how they've always been, right?
There is one group that we're missing that's responsible for a lot of this shit. The generation right before us. Generation X.
Which
Generation X.
so
Generation
not
X.
our parents.
Generation X are the parents of these children right now.
Oh, you're talking about those guys. Oh, okay, yeah,
Hold on. The parents of these children right now.
So like when we were kids, the teenagers, and those in there like
The kids that are like late teens and 20s, that's basically Generation X's kids. See, they kind of go under the rate. Like when you hear older people complain about the adults right now, they always say millennials, and I used to get offended, and I'm like, no. Those aren't our kids.
some Gen X.
That's them Gen X. They was the ones going to Uncle Luke concerts and everything like that.
They thought we forgot.
Those was
We got them. We got them. But you know, and that's crazy because like when you think about it, they
was our big homies.
right, but they were also like
Y'all thought y'all
that old school. Like they were kind of brought up in the old school,
Right.
Yeah.
and they were introduced to that wave too. Now that wave might have hit them a little late.
Yeah.
Our older
'cause
brothers and
it's like-
cousins. And
yeah,
shit.
'cause, you
older
know, like,
brothers
you
and
was-
older cousins.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot of y'all out there.
Man, look, a shout out to mine because I learned a lot. But
Yeah.
they're not.
You on that bullshit.
Yeah,
Are they? Did they
since you
adapt?
said it,
They did, but they quiet with it. They like,
They
you know,
are quiet though.
It's like
they try to act like they was the generation. They the ones that try to act like mom and them.
yeah. So what they doing right is they've adapted, but they're like, hey, no, bro. They said it's the millennials, bro. Just be cool. Nah, bro.
Y'all.
Yeah,
Was too.
it was. Like I said, that's they kids.
they messed it up.
Round them up.
Yeah.
They messed it up.
Round them up.
Now that you said it, I'm thinking about it, and it's like, yeah, my older cousins and the
clear.
young.
And you look at their
aunties
kids
the
and they
whole-
Like,
age.
you
Bruh.
sneaky motherfucker.
Yeah, bro. It's not us.
Cause my big cousin, his son, my little cousin, I'm like, bro, he wilding. What is wrong with him?
Yeah.
Is that a nose ring, like a bull type? What is he? That's wild.
They got tattoos and shit, bro.
Yeah, bro. They on it.
I mean, we do too, but it was just like
No,
they're
I'm talking about the kids.
Yeah,
got
the
tattoos.
kids got tattoos.
yeah.
They
I'm talking about kids is showing up with
yeah.
sleeves.
Nah, they're
To prom. you know what I'm saying?
No. Not to cut you off, but that's something I'm really pissed off about that they get to enjoy that we didn't. We really didn't touch on this subject. They get to wear hats to school. They get to order DoorDash to school.
To school. That shit was crazy to me.
They wearing do-rags to school.
Bro, you remember when somebody came on campus, if they didn't go to school there, they shut the whole school down, lock all the doors, and have you like damn near under your desk?
Yes.
Now they delivering DoorDash? That's
Yep.
wild.
On
Delivering
the
DoorDash.
sneak tip though, they're
So
not
who-
really. Depending on how your campus is set up, you could get it off. You could get the DoorDash off. Like,
Nigga, I remember leaving school.
What you
You
eat?
couldn't
Uber
come. Like
Eats?
if you left school early, you can't come back.
Oh yeah, see,
You couldn't come back.
at Golden West when I went,
I was able to come.
we
back.
was able, we had lunch where
Like if you were
could leave.
checked out, like if your parents brought you back because you were checked out for an appointment. But like, for example, me, I had like
school?
I had like a modified schedule. I'm not supposed to be coming back to school if I already left.
Nah, we was able to
I was
like
skipping
lunchtime.
periods.
Everybody
They didn't know you was leaving.
Everybody going
Nah.
down to Mary's Vineyard to go order.
Well, yeah,
and
that.
come back.
Yeah, you could do
Now
stuff
they
like
got a
that.
gate around the school.
Yeah, it's madness, bro. But you're right about that, yo. There was that time period where no hats and no
hats
this
and
and
all
no
that,
that. CD player would get taken if you know what I'm
They
saying?
got AirPods in class and shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like, they acting like they sleep, but it's the AirPod is in the air.
Yeah,
They-
madness,
They cut
dog.
that off.
That's wild.
Again, that's they kids though.
Yeah.
That's they kids.
And they kids is
I'm sorry, big bro. I had to
y'all
put y'all
kids
out
shooting
there,
up
man.
the fucking
But,
school, man.
Yeah.
That they kids is the ones fucking up the schools.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
we gonna talk. That's y'all kids, man.
Whoa. You keep throwing curveballs, bro. Wow. First is a porn. Now you talking about shooting up school. This guy's
Hey man, listen.
rare
It's
form
trauma,
today.
man.
Hey, dog.
It's trauma.
But you know what? On a serious note, if you think about it, right? Gangs was real popular in the 90s when they were young adults, late teens, right? And so a lot of those guys, that were, different sets and stuff like that, they glorified their children kind of following in those footsteps. I've seen documentaries where,
still doing that
a
shit.
son and a father is basically in prison together, and they both took the same path, the street path. And so when you made that point, even though, we had a chuckle about it, even when you made that point, there was a time period where when a lot of that generation started having kids, they thought it was cool that they had a little them, but didn't understand what was going to come or what was foreseen later on with how they might turn out with those particular values.
It's crazy because like a lot of the gangs and things that it was about lack of receiving a certain type of love or choosing to be rebellious to the way that you came up,
To
right?
a system, yeah.
And then, so because they operated like that, they unintentionally instilled those same values or lack thereof into their children. And
I mean, that shit is crazy.
it is, but it's like because like when you said, as soon as you said that, the only word that came to mind was rebellious spirit, rebellion. You feel me? And when you come across, you operate a certain way, and so then your child sees this growing up, and then when they're old enough, they start to act in the same manner as you. Might not go down the same path, but they have that same approach and mindset to things where it's a rebellious spirit, and I'm not gonna do this, and I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna do what I want, and so I can see all of that.
Yeah, I seen somebody post free their son. Their son, I think he was like a senior, just probably just graduated. I was like, what?
You serious? I mean, even when you look at like the crisis, the drug crisis, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
All of that stuff, all that goes back to that having access to so many things that we had to, get the axe, break the lock, then search the area to find whatever it is that we want to find. And now people have all kinds of access to things and an overabundance of it. And then you're starting to see the results of it in so many ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really is wild, but I did have to take a minute because I wasn't the first time it came on. It came across my mind about the different generations, and we often have the conversation, or you often see the conversation: boomers, millennials, Gen Z.
You
know what I'm saying?
Gen X, that is, because Gen Z is a fruit of Gen X.
Yeah.
Why? Haha. XYZ. No, I'm playing. Nah, man.
But yeah, dog. Yeah, it is wild, man. And
because a lot of millennials are just now having kids, or their kids are young.
Yeah,
still, like
there's an age gap if they have kids. Like they got one, that's like 13, and one that's because exactly. But there's a lot of us like that, because what I will give our generation when. A lot of our generation have that one at a young age. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna wait and make sure I get, a little bit established. And this one was hard.
Yeah, because that first one was oops.
Yeah.
That first one really wasn't playing.
That first one was like, man, now I gotta go tell my mom shit. Right.
That first one was like Usher's. Like, no, wait, what? Be serious.
And
Are
still,
you for real?
Yeah.
Damn. That first one hit different.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, you see that, man. And shout out to our generation with that. But yo, man, it's it's wild right now, bro. It really is, man. It really is.
Crazy.
Straight up. But anyways, man, we gonna go ahead and we gonna get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, this your boy Dizzy D Spill here with both my co-hosts,
Jelani Evans,
Farmer Poe.
and you've been tuning in to the Notion Podcast. You already know what to do. You gotta like, you gotta subscribe, or you gotta follow, and you need to leave comments. I don't want to hear no complaining about what we didn't talk about, or what we should talk about, or how we should talk about it. If you're not communicating with us, because we communicate with you every week. You feel me? And
he's right.
After you do all of that, you need to make sure that you're checking out all 3 of our businesses. Go ahead and introduce your businesses and stuff like that.
Kicks and sneakers.
You know what I'm saying?
You already know what it is.
Earth tones, man. Get your hygiene right, man. Stop walking around here with your skin breaking ashiness. That eczema ain't gonna clear up unless you put something to it, man. You hear me?
For real.
Come fuck with us.
And you already know where it's at, Lavora Cole with the luxury pieces. And you can't get this because this is exclusive, but maybe later on in the year. Anyways, we out of here. Peace.